Welcome to Today Matters, a short devotional in the Word of God. My name is Tylene Howarter, and I have the honor of serving you within Women's and Connections. Today, we are going to be focusing our attention on faith and trust. There's this quote that I just can't get out of my head when it comes to faith and trust. Here it is. This is the language of faith, not after the battle, but before it. Did you hear that? Let me say that one more time. This is the language of faith, not after the battle, but before it. One of my all-time favorite things about David is his faith. I'm not just talking about the normal kind of faith. I'm talking about the kind of faith that comes by practicing that muscle over and over. The kind of faith that started when David was growing up as a teenage boy in the fields, watching his sheep when he had to kill a lion to protect his sheep, when he had to kill a bear to protect his sheep at the age of 14 or 15. The parent in me is like, wait, what? How in the world did his mom and dad let him do that? Who taught him how to kill a bear or a lion for that matter? From a young boy, David knew the Lord could be trusted. Let's first read this Psalms for you to understand more about the faith that I'm referring to here. Psalms 26 through 9. Now I know this, the Lord gives victory to his anointed. He answers him from his heavenly sanctuary, from the victorious power of his right hand. Some trust in chariots and some trust in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. They are brought to their knees and fall, but we rise up and stand firm. Lord, give victory to your king. Answer us when we call. First, David knew that God heard his prayers. He was confident in this. There is huge trust that David has in God because he can look back in his life and see God's hand from a very young age. Have you ever looked back on your life and said, I know God had his hand in my life on this situation? I know we have been reading in the Psalms over the last few months about David sounding more meek and mild. This was not always David's norm. We get to see the human side of David in the Psalms, which is actually pretty cool to see. It makes him human. If you followed any of David's life leading up to this, you would hear stories about David's mighty men, David's battles, his fearlessness in killing a lion, a bear, and even Goliath. I mean, who the heck is this kid? For example, you know when you see the highlight reel on someone's Facebook, Instagram, or whatever method, we tend to think that someone's life is just larger than life and seem to have it all. It's not until we look close that we can see the struggle they have, just like you and me. David was one of those naturals at everything, it seemed. He was strong, fit, a warrior, brave, and bold. When you look at the Psalms, it truly helps us know that even mighty warrior David has his own fears and inner battles. There's so much more to this, but I need to stop right here. So what does this mean for you and for me today? Here is my simple challenge for you today. What do you put your trust in? You may say, well, my life is a little bit more complicated than that. It's just not that simple. Today, if people were to look at your life, what would they say you put your trust in? If they were to look at your bank statement, what would it say you value most? Do you trust God enough to tithe every single month? Do you trust God enough to join that small group that you've been putting off because you're afraid of meeting new people? Maybe it's trusting God with your health, your move out of state, your son, your daughter, or maybe it's your marriage. Can you trust God with all of this? The answer is yes. However, is your trust put in the wrong things right now? Commit to small acts of obedience that will lead to big steps of faith today, because today matters.